Chapter 4 I Dare You. All this for a wolf? I thought your dad was bringing together a hunting party? Leah whispered to Tyler. He then spoke up. Emma, leave the girl alone and let's focus on hunting that wolf. Sheriff, if you want, you can borrow my father's rifles. They are even paired with bayonets. Leah said as she spoke out. Emma rolled her eyes at Leah's words. I'm sorry, did I say something wrong, Emma? Are you not going to hunt a wolf, or would you rather hunt witches? But I won't be able to lend you the rifles if you are hunting witches. There will be no need for the rifles, my lady. The mayor said apologetically. Leah turned to the sheriff, but you'll kill the wolf a lot faster if you use a rifle. Emma walked over to Leah and said. This town has been dealing with that witch before you ever step foot in this town. Leah smiled and said. I see you're not as educated as you first appeared to be, Miss Emma. Because when someone sees a wolf, your response is to go and hunt a witch. Or are you just using this as an excuse to go witch hunting? The lady is right. Tyler said he saw a wolf, so we'll go hunt a wolf. And we'll gladly take Miss Haven's offer and borrow those rifles. The sheriff said in appreciation. I'll have the servants send it down as soon as we find those crates. Leah said respectfully. However, the mayor and his children didn't seem to please when she glanced at them. Leah, let me treat you to lunch. Tyler said with a smile. At the tavern? Yeah, my mother's making pie for dessert. Sure. When they got at the tavern, Tyler offered her a seat next to a window. Thank you. I'll get you that steak along with that pie. Take your time, he left as she glanced out the window. When Leah saw the mayor along with Emma and Edward come in, she lifted her hood to hide her face from the view. They then sat at the table far from her. Will you stop reeling? We'll just find another chance to get rid of that girl. You did the best you could. The mayor said. Don't worry, Father, she's just pissed, because ever since the lady came to town, Tyler didn't even spare her so much as a sideward glance. Oh, please, I can care less about Tyler, and his dad are even more of a nuisance, undermining us at every turn. She dare called me uneducated. Emma snapped. She thinks she's so better than everyone else just because she comes from some big city in Wallachia. Edward, why don't you make yourself useful and stop your friend from going near her? They will undermine our family's authority if they got together in the future. No way, getting near her means going over to that castle. I'm not crazy enough to do that. That being said, she must be out of there because the place scares her. You wish. Leah said as she listened to their conversation. Father, aren't you worried about those Havens getting a foothold here again? I don't want anyone to undermine your authority, just like what the old man did. When he was alive and kicking. Emma said worryingly. Emma's right, Father, just look at how easy their daughter derailed our plans, and she's only been here for a few days. How much more if the Mr. and Mrs. come down from the castle? Don't worry. Why do you think I sent Arya to them? They don't know the extent of the girl's sketchy past. They will be burned to the stake along with her if they failed to keep themselves in line. Sorry to keep you waiting. Tyler said as he came over with the steak and pie. Why are you wearing your hood indoors? Trying to avoid a confrontation. Leah said as she glanced at the mayor and his children. Tyler turned his head and said. Don't take it too hard, the mayor and my dad don't have the best relationship. Since they keep butting heads, he said as he sat down. Over what? Tyler looked puzzled. What issues do they likely disagree about? Well, back when your uncle was still around, my dad pretty much took his side on everything. The late master pretty much condoned witch trials. He got the old priest banished after Arya's mother was falsely accused and burned at the stake. The mayor took the wrong side and he hasn't had a foothold in our town since then. Until your uncle passed away. So they just started to take power again until we showed up. It's only been half a year. Besides, my dad has been keeping them at bay until you arrived. Is that so? Leah said in deep thought. When she ate the steak, she looked at Tyler and said, "This isn't what I had last time." "Yeah, my mother saw you and didn't want you to wait, so it's dry. I wanted the juicy steak I had last time," she said with a frown. If you like this story so far, subscribe so we can reach 1,000 subscribers. I thought, you were friends with the mayor, son Edward, right? Yeah, we're friends, but we're really not that close. He's big-headed just because he is the mayor's son. But he doesn't really have any of the leadership qualities, he just rides on his father's coattail. Emma and Edward are really spoiled, they think they own the town. But everyone knows they would be nothing without their father. In fact, the townspeople can barely stomach the two of them. Especially Edward here runs around, asking for payment so that he doesn't terrorize the businesses around here. Why don't you just elect a new mayor? We tried, but as you can see, most of the townspeople aren't educated. How else can a wolf hunting party turn into a witch hunt? Most don't even know how to read. I guess I can forget about asking the mayor to let us foster Arya. Don't worry, I'm sure the father will be glad that you're taking her in. Why don't you come to church on Sunday? You can ask him then. What's the priest's character? Is he as bigoted as the mayor? No, he's about as good as they come. If you donate to the church, then he will be willing to help you with anything. Splendid. This pie is good. You don't have any anymore, do you? Unfortunately, Mother only made one. Well, can you bring some pastries before dinner? Sure, I can do that. Perfect, dinner is at 7. Leah said as she put 3 pieces of gold coins on the table. This is the payment for the delivery this morning, the delivery for later, and the meal. After Leah got home, she went to her father. It's done. I persuaded them to hunt for the wolf. Perfect, I'm starving. Make sure to make it look like a wolf attack when you dispose of the bodies. Later. John said to the maids. Yes, my lord. They said as they bowed respectfully. Where's Mother? She's showing Arya to her new room. About that, father, it seems that the mayor is planning to use her to villainize us in the future. I think he plans to use the pretext of harboring a witch. Well, then I would hate to see him die because of a wolf. John said as he looked at June. I understand, my lord. Prepare some human food for Arya as well. In fact, prepare some additional food items. We might set up alarms if we don't eat, in front of her. Oh, and Tyler is coming over to bring some pastries. I understand, my lady. She then left the room. I love to see this so-called wolf myself. My dear, you said that it looked like a lion, but it made a hissing sound, right? Her father said in intrigue. Yes, Tyler seems to be well aware of it. I think it has something to do with the curse on this town. I told the sheriff that we will let him use our guns to deal with it more effectively. Perfect, while they're hunting the wolf. We will be hunting them. Give the firearms to your friend as soon as he arrives. I will, father. Tyler and his family arrived just in time for dinner. Sorry we're late. It's fine. Have you eaten yet? No, we're just here to deliver your pastry. Tyler and his mother said apologetically. If you haven't eaten yet, come join us for dinner. I insist, Mrs. Haven said. Besides, my husband has something to discuss with Sheriff Gale. If you insist, ma'am. The sheriff said as he led his family through the door. When the Gales walked in the dining room, they were surprised to see the handmaid bring Arya in all dressed up. Come, let's sit down. Mr. Haven ordered. Mrs. Gale then started the conversation. So how are you finding everything so far? She asked no one in particular, but it was made clear that the question was pointed to the Havens. It's been great, we're settling in nicely, although we still have to remove some pieces here and there. I have huge plans for the garden and the greenhouse when spring comes. Since there is not much to do in the gardens in fall, all my attention is being put to cleaning up the greenhouse. Mrs. Haven said with a smile. Yes, it's such a shame that you couldn't come in a much better weather, my lady. Mrs. Gale said. As the grown-ups were starting to chat away at the table, Arya was having a hard time using the cutlery, which irritated Mrs. Gale. "Here, let me." June came over and sliced up Arya's steak for her. "Here you are," she said as she stepped back and stood at the corner. "So Sheriff, when are you going wolf hunting?" Mr. Haven asked. "As soon as possible, Mr. Haven. Feel free to take my rifles, however, I would like to have its fur in exchange." "That seems like a fair trade," the sheriff said as he smiled. "I would like to join you, if I may?" "Of course you're welcome to join, Mr. Haven. I hear men of your stature take up hunting as a hobby." "Yes, it's quite a productive pastime." Like this story, comment, and subscribe to be notified when the next chapter comes out.